So usually when people find out I'm a podcast producer, they have one big question, which is, tell me what podcasts I should listen to. So I'm going to put those podcast recommendations here, starting with today, my number one, top of the top, cream of the crop podcast. It shocks me every time when I tell someone about it and they don't know what it is, have never heard of it, have never listened to it. So may I present Heavyweight. If you are Canadian and you listened to CBC Radio growing up, you might have heard of Wiretap, which was hosted by Jonathan Goldstein. And I can't really explain Wiretap. You can actually go on a podcasting app and listen to it. You never really know what's going to happen on Wiretap. But Jonathan Goldstein made a brilliant podcast called Heavyweight. Currently, it's a little bit in limbo after 8 seasons. It got canceled by Gimlet. They're trying to find a new home. Okay, the premise. People call Heavyweight with a heavy weight that's been weighing on them for years. It could be something they remember that everyone thinks is not real. It could be a person they ran into that changed their life that they want to reconnect with. It could be someone who hurt them that they want to meet 20 years later. They bring these heavyweights and these big questions to Heavyweight, and the team goes and finds the answer. They find the person, they find a person who might know the person, they mail a person who might have a connection with the person. It's like everyday investigative journalism about real people with big or small issues. But the way Heavyweight is done is the reason it is so good. Jonathan Goldstein is a master of dry humor and somehow like unexplainable charm. So I'm going to hit you with like my top 3 episodes of this show. Number 3 comes in. There's not famous people on this show very often, but this one was comedian Rob Corddry. He remembers breaking his arm as a kid, and everyone in the family thinks that he has lost it because they don't think it ever happened. Episode number 2 is a more recent episode called Harry. A pair of brothers promise their youngest brother, who is dying of AIDS, that they will take care of his new parrot he bought. And they don't, and they give it away, and they feel guilty. And then they want to know what happened to the parrot. And then number 1, I think it's a lot of people's number 1, is the episode Jesse. Jesse gets hit by a car. It changes his life. Like 20 years later, he wants to meet the person who hit them with their car. Okay, suggestions. This is one I would listen to from episode 1. Like, go into your podcasting app, sort by newest to oldest, and start at episode 1, or else there's going to be like all sorts of inside jokes that you're really not going to understand. I know that since this is my first podcast recommendation, it seems a little top of the top to start with a 5-star, but this is unquestionable 5 stars. To listen to Heavyweight, click the link in my profile, and I'll make sure that it's right there, easy for you to find.